So as we walk up here now, it's quite a mess at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Somebody was complaining in one of the flats. I saw a tweet this morning where they said that they couldn't sleep last night because they're actually working on the road overnight.
Are they picking them up? Let's have a look. There, bingo, picked it up!
I think they're trying to inconvenience people, probably to stop people driving the cars.
Bit of history there.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It looks like a... Is that a sewage grate or something like that?
Possibly. I wonder what they're going to do with that. Replace it and eBay it, do you think?
When you look at the profits of this company, they reported back a couple of years ago, but there's nothing recent on it. But they're not actually reporting. You can't look at Sisk and report. You have to look at the parent company. And the parent company's got a turnover of £1.5 billion. But I find it a bit suspicious why there's no set of accounts for Sisk, but there is for a parent company.
What's that all about? You know, that is a bit of a trip hazard, isn't it, I would say?
Oh, yeah.
Say health and safety gone mad here, I don't know, or not, because anybody can walk across there, there's no barriers.
It's not thought out, Mark.
I think there's an health and safety issue here.
There's also another sign here, which is what I was looking for on the other one that had disappeared. Step up to zero. So here we have net zero.
We're in Sheffield. Whereabouts are we in Sheffield?
Well, this is supposed to be West Bar in Sheffield, an area I hardly recognise, and I worked around here for 15 years between 1985 and 2000.
Obviously, there's a lot of money being spent in Sheffield right now. Where we are stood right now, we're on one half of it, because the other half's behind me.
Yeah.
How much are they spending on this area?
Well, I did a freedom of information request, and they said it's £16.5 million that they're actually spending on these road improvements.
So when you say these roads, is it just these two roundabouts?
Just these two roundabouts, yeah, and the roads between the roundabouts, the actual entranceways into the roundabouts.
So the old markings are still there. That's a two-lane roundabout at the moment.
It is, yeah.
What are they going to turn that into, do you think?
That's definitely going to be a Dutch roundabout. Now, I've done a freedom of information request, and they actually provided pictures of actually exactly how it's going to be. So it's Dutch roundabout with a zebra crossing on each entry point, giving priority to pedestrians, but there'll also be a cycle lane as well, and that they will have the advantage over cars as well, so it's pedestrians, cyclists and cars.
So currently we're on a Saturday afternoon, and the traffic's quite busy at the moment. So there's two lanes behind you, and it's still causing a bit of a traffic jam, I suppose, isn't it?
Not half.
There's two lanes as it is.
Yeah, it's causing a traffic jam, but I worked up here at Griffin House just behind us, big large building, if you can see that in the background, for 15 years, and there used to be quite a lot more traffic coming down here. I think it's sort of driving traffic away from this area, because people, when they're coming down here, they're looking absolutely bemused.
So behind us was 4 lanes at one point.
Definitely.
The road markers are still there. Obviously they're sharing the same half of the road.
Yeah.
What do you think this is going to turn into?
Well, I think it's going to be cars in only one direction in either way, with a cycle lane, and then from looking at the plans, it's like they're going to be bringing the footpaths in and putting greenery either side.
So that's going to narrow the roadways up here, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
And I have heard a little rumour, you might be able to confirm this, that Sheffield councillors don't want traffic in the centre.
No, they definitely don't.
Why do you think that is?
Well, it's definitely looking like the ring road. It should have been an advantage to us, but it's being used against us. And it looks like, it's like computers. You can use them for you or against you. And I think the ring road's being used to turn Sheffield into a smart city. And anything within that, they're trying to ban cars. And the end game is to completely urbanise the city centre. Now, I believe that in a city centre, it's not really, shouldn't really be urbanised. It should be about shopping facilities, and Sheffield's always been known for having light industry around the city centre as well, and they're driving light industry away from the city centre. So where's the wealth generation in the city centre anymore, other than bureaucracy?
Yeah, so right behind me, what's going up there, do you think?
All right, the first one is going to be number 1 West Bar, and that's either offices or flats. Then just behind it, when you see the other towers behind the first 3, they're going to be Soho yards and Soho yard and gardens, and they're going to be mixed-use units. And it's sort of labelled down there as being mixed use, so that'll be residential and offices.
How long do you think it's going to take to regenerate this area?
I think it's not going very quickly, but suddenly it might go quickly. But I think somebody said that they could regenerate Fargate in 6 months, but it's going to be 2 years.
So those buildings are separate to the 16.5 million for these roundabouts. That's a separate figure, isn't it? That's
right. So this figure of £16.5 million is coming from central government. So a lot of the funding I've found in Sheffield driving the green agenda and smart cities is not coming from local government, it's coming from the tax that's generated at the central government level.
So in theory then, the taxpayer is paying the taxes to central government, and councils are applying for the extra money to build this area up.
That's right, yeah.
So not only do you pay taxes to your council, people in Sheffield pay their council tax. There is something there for about upkeep of roads in the council tax payment. So the council, from what I believe, do actually pay for the upkeep of the roads out of council tax money as well. So if you're a non-car user, you're actually contributing to the upkeep.
Well, that's why they all say that they've already paid for the cycle lanes. So they say they've got a right to a cycle lane.
I think residents of Sheffield and any other council in the country should do a little bit more research into what they're paying for and see why they're paying road fund tax licences, for instance, and also councils for the upkeep of the road.
But we all know that they confuse people. They make the actual electricity bills and the gas bills more complicated, so people don't really understand them. If you're a working person, or you're a full-time working person, you don't have time to look at all the information that you're being given. So a lot of it is just spin and creating a hazy cloud all the time.
So shall we just have a look at the other roundabout further?
Yeah, the top roundabout now, they're putting a T-junction in. Absolutely ridiculous. So we're spending £16.5 million to actually make things worse.
So as we walk up here now, it's quite a mess at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Somebody was complaining in one of the flats. I saw a tweet this morning where they said that they couldn't sleep last night because they're actually working on the road overnight, but they're not working on it now. You actually pointed out, Mark, once they've put the actual cordons around it, they could be working on this right now.
Yeah, so it looks like sunny day, Saturday, they've had the day off.
That's right, yeah, but they were happy to work overnight, which seems a little bit strange, than working overnight and waking people up. Or is that the point, that you want to distract people, make them sleepless and unhappy?
Well, maybe they did that overnight just to get the day off on Saturday because they knew it was sunny.
You just point to that building up there, Pennine 5, it was the Pennine Centre. We knew it was Griffin House when it was Midland Bank. We did all the IT and computers for the country, but we were never there disrupting our customers. We had to actually disrupt our customers as little as possible. But it doesn't seem to apply to road people. They do not seem to concern themselves with the customer. They don't plan things out to create the less hassle. And somebody told me they were actually driving on the roads the other night on the motorways. They had to leave the motorways 3 times at night. And you just wonder what's going off on the road network. There seems to be a roadwork every time you come round every corner. I just think they're trying to create disruption.
Well, I have been out at midnight watching them practicing putting cones out and actually picking them up again. And no work's actually been done. And here comes the motorway. Let's find these midnight cowboys. And here we go. Hey up. Oh my word, oh my word. They've shut the motorway off. See what I mean? I knew it. I bloody knew it. Sorry, just having a fit. Oh, that spoiled my night now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to head north and then come back on south. Do you know what? There's traffic. Oh, there's traffic actually driving down there. So I've got to go north to the next junction, go around the roundabout and come back down the other side. Can you see the traffic on the other side? I couldn't join that traffic from that junction. And that's what I mean. These cowboys just messing with people at night time. Right, back down the other side. Another 3 minutes to the next junction. Now then, we've got 2 lanes closed ahead. Plenty of signage. I get the fact that they need to practice, but they've claimed 2 lanes tonight. And just to be warned, do not enter underneath an X. If you don't know this, if you go underneath that X and you're picked up on a camera, you will get fined. Even though there's no cones there on the left, the X tells you it's closed. So this is junction 35, Rotherham. I'm pretty sure if a freedom of information request went in to see if there are any roadworks taking place at this junction tonight, it would probably come back as none whatsoever. So there is an exit point, you can leave here. And if I get up to that roundabout, I guarantee I cannot drive straight across, because as you just saw earlier, when I did my hissy fit, cones were all across the junction. So let's see. Well, hang on a minute, let's just analyse this for a second. I'm now driving down south, but I couldn't get on because of these cones. So far, nobody in the side of the road working. Hi, here we go. Amber flashing cowboys. Let's have a look. Now, will they be picking up cones or just laying them out? Are they picking them up? Let's have a look. There, bingo, picked it up.
I think they're trying to inconvenience people, probably to stop people driving the cars. If you make it that difficult, people say, you know, what's the point of going out in my car? But the problem is there's no alternative. It'd be great with Sheffield, we could always get cheap transport into Sheffield. I think it was a 10p a journey, so it was like 20p into Sheffield from Dinnington on the buses back in the 80s. I know it'd be more money now, probably about 40p. But the services were regular. You know,
I'll point something out here actually. Just across this road with me. So if you notice, you've got orange tape, haven't you, and bollards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just keep walking from it, just to get a bit closer. Now, what do you think the purpose of that orange tape is and them cones? I mean, the cones, yeah, but the orange tape, what do you think?
Absolutely no. It's ridiculous, Mark.
Is it like a barrier to stop people walking into this area where we stood?
It could be,
But
yeah.
when you look over there, it's easily accessible by pedestrians.
That's
So
right.
are they trying to keep this as a safety zone? It's not very safe. People could wander onto this, couldn't they?
Well,
I just don't understand the orange tape.
The problem is nowadays they actually make things more unsafe with all the nanny state. You know, they put all these road obstructions in and they actually make viewing angles and all sorts so dangerous on roads. You get bollards in the middle of a road stuck out, so you've got 2 cars coming close together, avoiding bollards at the edge of the road. So you know, it's like they say one thing and do something else.
I mean, just there, I mean, what's that all about? You know, that is a bit of a trip hazard, isn't it, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Say health and safety gone mad here, I don't know, or not, because anybody can walk across there, there's no barriers.
It's not thought out, Mark,
I
at
think
all, is it?
there's an health and safety issue here, personally, but that's just my opinion.
Creating an health and safety issue.
We'll just advance further up then. And this road here looks like it's had some work, doesn't it?
Yeah, this was all industrial land up here. We had small engineering businesses. And what they say is a lot of the small engineering businesses closed down, but they didn't. They just made life so difficult for small engineering businesses to operate anymore, probably with legislation, etc. And it's been coming from central government. So these roads now are being narrowed down, as you can see, and this seems to be happening all the way through Sheffield.
So this building you're walking past right now, what's it called, do you know?
Well, originally PlusNet, the internet provider, was here, but PlusNet got taken over by British Telecom. They're keeping the branding PlusNet because you've seen the silly Yorkshire type adverts that PlusNet use. So they're keeping the branding for PlusNet, but they're now actually based in a British Telecom building somewhere in Sheffield, and I don't know where. But to me, it was great that you got a local Sheffield business within the city centre, a wealth creating business. Now it's been took over by a large corporation and you lose the whole identity. I mean, there was 2,000 jobs across an earmark in top IT jobs, but not anymore.
We're outside Pennine 5 now. This has been refurbished, hasn't it?
That's right.
What's happening here?
Well, originally this was the Midland Bank headquarters. They moved a lot of jobs out of London in the 1970s to Sheffield. There was about 2,000 information technology jobs in this building. The front area was the human resources area of it as well. So in the olden days, before we had human resources, which I call human remains, we had personnel department. Now personnel means people. Human resources just sees people as a resource, not as the actual main part of a company anymore. But all these other buildings were the IT part. So what they found out is that they couldn't get the type of staff they needed in London and the cost of the buildings, etc. So Midland Bank moved them out of London up here, got the quality staff up here. When HSBC took over, they decided they were going to outsource a lot of the actual functions in this building, and people were actually training staff from abroad to take the jobs over. Well, I left just before that because I could see what was coming down the road. This is St Vincent's Place area up here on the right. There's a church up there, but you can't see it for the high rises anymore. In the past, in the 19th century, you can just see St Vincent's Church. These were all little back-to-back houses with character all the way up here. Now, you look, they're just big, square, inhumane boxes.
So the job centre in Sheffield, do you think they're actually moving to here? Are they going to shut down the other one?
Well, I'm guessing so. It looks like it, doesn't it? Because they're probably actually moving the job centre in here because they can't actually fill the rest of the building. So they're trying to appear that people actually want to use the building. But you've got to think that they actually, this is all being run under a certain plan.
Do you think they're going to occupy all the levels of the job centre?
No, I think with it being a public-facing company, it'll probably just be the bottom floor because you can't really see anything happening on the next level. Now, this is Block 3 where I worked for 15 years, so I know it quite well.
Obviously, there's something else being constructed over there.
Well, just there on that little corner, you see the road going up, where you can just see a bit of a wall left. That was the Royal Oak pub, but we didn't know it was the Royal Oak pub. It was the Royal Oak Bakery, and it was the solicitors. Well, that's completely been wiped out only in the last month. So that's another little bit of Sheffield history. They don't want it to be there anymore. It's inconvenient truth to what our past was. But same across it all here. This was all industrial, and Footprint Tools was up there. I don't know if Footprint Tools closed down or they moved on. So they were actually based up there, and it was really nice when you come out. I might have got a suit on, but I respected manufacturing people, and it was really nice rubbing shoulders with blue-collar workers.
What do you think that metal circular thing is?
I ain't got a clue, Mark. Is it a water thing?
I don't know, I just wondered. Looks like an old grate, doesn't it? Bit of history there.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It looks like is that a sewage grate or something like that?
Possibly. I wonder what they're going to do with that. Replace it and eBay it, do you think?
Somebody might, you think somebody might be selling that on eBay?
You never know.
Just dig it out.
Yeah, so we're actually at the other roundabout now. What's going to happen with this roundabout? Obviously it was a perfectly functional 2-lane entry roundabout. At 2 lanes around it.
Yeah.
What's going to happen here, do you think, then?
Well, it's incredible that it was a great little a great roundabout where it did the function really well. And they're supposed to be making a junction here, but I'm a bit confused because on the plans I'm seeing, it's one straight through road with one road into it. But if you look here, there's 2 roads in. So what I saw on the plans is it comes down from Broad Lane onto Tenter Street, and that'll be one complete straight through road. And on the plans it only shows you 1 road coming into it, whereas there's 2 roads coming into it, so that is a bit confusing.
Obviously when it's all developed, it might be good to repay a visit and see how it's developed.
Definitely, yeah, because it's going to be completely different, but it's £16.5 million money actually making things worse.
So that's £16.5 million. If it doesn't go over budget, we'll sort this junction out and roundabout. It will sort something out with the roads behind us.
Yeah.
and then the bottom roundabout.
Yeah, but we need to look at two signs on here, which I think is really important, Mark. I can see them now. So we've got the Sisk contractors 1859. So I did a bit of research on it, and it's an Irish building company. And when you look at the profits of this company, they reported back a couple of years ago, but there's nothing recent on it. But they're not actually reporting. You can't look at Sisk and report. You have to look at the parent company. And the parent company's got a turnover of £1.5 billion. But I find it a bit suspicious why there's no set of accounts for Sisk, but there is for a parent company. It does concern me how the tax system actually works. There's also another sign here, which is what I was looking for on the other one that had disappeared, step up to zero. So here we have net zero. Now, one of the problems is the Tories are blaming Labour boroughs for actually pushing through net zero, but they're providing the money from it because the Conservative government's in charge at the moment, and they're providing all the money. They've provided 16.5 million from central funds for all of this.
Okay, well, we've got to the top of these this road and roundabouts. Any final words to the people watching?
You need to look at 15-minute cities, and basically it's looking like anything in the ring road, the Sheffield will be urbanised, and all you'll get in here is offices and actual apartments. We're not seeing the shops anymore. I think the council were bragging about some company from Scandinavia actually setting themselves up in Grosvenor House. But if you're into net zero, why are you using foreign companies? Wouldn't you be using local Sheffield brands to keep your energy costs down? But now we've got a Scandinavian company coming in to Sheffield in Grosvenor House, and that means you're going to have the transportation costs to bring them across to the UK. So everything about net zero is not really about net zero. It's just a brand, while I think they're using a brand to actually deliver other stuff behind it. It's a smoke screen, and it's purely about globalists. None of our politicians are actually representing the people. They're only representing large corporations.